I am afraid to start new journeys. It's something very difficult for me. I don't enjoy the idea of just declaring I'm going to start a journey or feeling that I am starting sort of a pseudo journey for myself. Like when we say, yeah, I'm planning on starting that at some point. I do my best not to say that, but I focus on what journey I want to take. I build up this grandiose idea of what this journey is going to be for me and how great it will be for me to take this step. And then I never take it. I always feel like I'm paralyzed and anxious. And from my understanding, anxiety is our fight or flight response completely going haywire. And it will feel like I am going haywire in my mind. And because of this, I can stand by the water for hours at a time. But I can't fathom the idea of making the ways I need to progress with my passions. But I am so passionate about the journeys I want to take. Instinct is just screaming at me to do this, that I need to do this, that I need to move. So why can't I move? In my search for an answer, I decided to think less about the fact that I am afraid and more about the fact why I am afraid. When starting our individual journeys with and within ourselves, I feel we all have one commonality in how we decide to embark on those journeys. Most of us decide that we have a goal that we want to accomplish. And ultimately, that goal will be our out. That out will be our alternative to this present state of being, or even the preface to where we want to be versus where we are now. The goals that we set are meant to be the device that will shuttle us from a past that was not serving us properly, or more than likely was harming us in a way that we feel we couldn't grow from or escape from. I feel a fair share of us share a sense of fear, resentment, and, if we're being honest with ourselves, shame from our past. This is a subject that I want to expand on down the road. But I feel we tend to look at our past like it's this misshapen shadow of ourselves to be shunned and put to the side. And by setting a goal and progressing into our goal, we rectify this past and save it from itself. Because if we decide that if we embark on this journey to save ourselves, then that makes us better people in the future. And it doesn't even have to be a drastic sense of saving. It can be as simple as deciding to get out of bed an hour earlier on a regular basis. And even that can feel like an arduous battle for some people, myself included. Because there are just some days where we wake up and the feeling of just starting feels almost painful. Like the moment we get out of bed, out of our comfort zone, out of our space, out of our warmth, then we're exposed to the world and all the scrutiny and the criticism it has to offer. Even though the first person to criticize us is our own reflection in the mirror. But if we make that one little step forward, then that means everything has to get better, right? If that's the case, why does that first step feel so damn difficult? Why is it that we always say, I'll make that first step tomorrow? And then the next thing we know, tomorrow's here, and we're always chasing tomorrow. Why do we commit to the idea of a pseudo journey instead of the journey itself? You know, we're constantly preparing to embark instead of just embarking on the journey itself. Because even if we feel we haven't started the journey just yet, isn't the fact that we decided we needed to embark, to set a goal, to even just contemplate the idea that we need to make some different types of steps on this journey part of the journey? Isn't that urge what makes a journey start? And if that's the case, should the embark feel this confusing? I feel like I've asked myself this pretty regularly, wondering if that was the aspect of the journey I was scared of. If that's what made me feel like I was unwilling to move, unwilling to decide for myself to take that step. And I never got an answer to those questions in that space of my mind. So I started to wonder whether or not if there was something more that I was missing. If the answer to why we are so afraid to take that first step doesn't lie in the sense that we're trying to get away from our past or trying to rectify our past, then maybe it has to do with where we currently are, which I felt initially was the answer to why I was afraid personally. I feel we live in a world where, especially now, our mindsets are supposed to be dictated and commanded by the idea of comparison. From the viewpoint of what we believe are our personal accomplishments, there's a deep cut dissonance between where we are currently and where we think we should be. In the past, growing up, from when we were little teacup humans to younger adults, in the back of our minds, we had early, lofty dreams of what our lives are going to be and just how fantastic everything will feel and how the world will view us. But more than any of that, how happy we would be when we get there. And I feel like that's gone. I feel we got into a point where we don't base where we are currently on the efforts and shames of our past, but more so the milestones that we have set for ourselves by proxy. We never ask anymore how far we've come. We don't ask ourselves, what have I accomplished today to get to my goal? But we're constantly asking ourselves, are we finally there yet? Why is this taking so long? Shouldn't I be there already by now? Because I'm ready to be happy and I'm ready to be done with this part of my life. I feel we have stepped away from the idea of enjoying the intermediate of our journeys. We stepped away from the idea of enjoying the beautiful spaces in between and the pace our travels set for us. It doesn't have to be a fast track away from our shame or our past or whatever it is that we're trying to run away from. It doesn't need to be a complete turnabout from our regrets. But it does have to be exactly what it is. It's long rides, staring out a window. It's casual moments where you sit with yourself and have a warm meal after a long day because you made some progress today. And you deserve to just sit and enjoy the moment where you decide to rest. It's moments where you connect and reconnect with yourself and the people in your environment that you may or may not have forgotten, or even just not noticed are noticing you on your journey as you progress. The intermediate of our journeys is patience. But we don't want patience. We want what we want now. And what we want is to feel accomplished. And since that's what we feel it should be, then that's what it is, but ahead of time. So when we get to a point where shaping our lives, shaping our futures, shaping our today and our journeys is in our control, instead of focusing exactly on where we are at this moment, our eyes turn to glass from staring at a future that we would love to have. And we forget there's a world around us currently that is completely ours to mold and create with, and we just let it sit. Because it does not matter where we are currently. As long as we get to that sweet end goal at the end of the journey, because that is what is going to make all the nothing worth it in the end. Until we get to the end. And then we find a nothing. And we're confused. And we're angry. And we're lost. We're at this particular point in our lives, so why doesn't it match what we feel it should be? If this is what the end is, and it's just a bunch of nothing, then what was the point of the journey to begin with? And there it was. There was the why. There was my why. I feel I realized I was never really afraid of embarking on my journey, taking that first step. I was never afraid of my intermediate, of my journey, all the in between, because deep down, I wanted to learn. And I wanted to understand me. I wanted to know me. I feel I realized, for me and for a lot of people, the reason we, as humans, as individuals, as people wanting to grow and evolve, the reason we are so scared to start on our journeys is because eventually, no matter what, all of our journeys have to end. When we look at our journeys, we always see the goals as the end all be all, the epitome of conclusions to a chapter. However, I feel when we look at it this way, we miss adding an aspect of our journey that we're not quite ready to experience, especially if we're still are afraid to take said journey. And that aspect is the finality of the journey. No matter how long a journey takes you, no matter what paths you took to get there, to reach your goals, and to expand your world, at the end of the line, the journey has to end. And I feel we're afraid it ends alone. And I feel this is where the fear of the journey starts. We as people tend to always perceive the end of something to be perpetually negative, no matter what. It's the end of a relationship, the end of that trip you've been wanting to take for years. Hell, the end of that waffle cone double scooped ice cream you just had. We see the end as a negative. Not just because the journey is over, but because it means we have to face the consequences of said journey, and that is a very lonely feeling. We have to evaluate what our lives are now. What did we learn? What or who did we leave behind? What or who is still with us? What's no longer there? And more importantly, we have to decide if we accomplished what we really set out to do. Did we create a better relationship with ourselves now than we had before by accomplishing these goals and by accomplishing this journey? And with that comes the fear of possibly finding out, no, we did not. But in a way, isn't that a good thing? If we get to the end of our journey and decide we didn't accomplish what we set out to accomplish at all. Doesn't that mean our journeys aren't over? Even more so, didn't we find out more about what we don't want for ourselves in our lives? Which brings us closer to what we really want to accomplish. Because who's to say our journeys start exactly how it's supposed to end? You can decide to plant a single seed and grow a single flower. But if you got to the end of your journey, how would you feel if you found out it turned into an entire garden? And if we did accomplish our goals, isn't it less about what we may have lost and more about what we had created for ourselves along the way? And to take that a step further, if we did accomplish our goals, doesn't that mean we get to enjoy the opportunity of what we created for ourselves now that that part of the journey is over? I feel the end of the line should be the aspect that we are least afraid of. Because if we treat ourselves, and by proxy, the journeys that we take with more respect, then what we find at the end of it all should be the most beautiful part of our journey for us. And what is beautiful and good for us should not be something to fear. I am scared of starting a journey because I never know what to expect for myself at the end. I know I want to grow. I know I want more for me. But until recently, I was so terrified of what I might find at the end of it that I never felt it was worth the risk. Until I took a journey without realizing it, to finally decide why I was scared to take those journeys for myself. And at the end, not only did I get my answer, I realized that I had taken that first step after all, because until I took the first journey to understand my fear, I could never understand what I wanted my journeys to mean to me in the end. Don't get me wrong. I'm still afraid. And I will probably still be afraid when the prospect of a new journey comes about. But now, at this point in my life, more than anything, I am more excited to see what's going to come from taking this journey to begin with. And that feeling is stronger than my fear of the journey itself. Maybe it's the same for you. Maybe the hardest part for you might be the embark in deciding to Step out of the shadow of yourself and decide you want to create a little bit of light in your world to warm your soul. That's all right. It will be difficult. Maybe the hardest part is deciding how to navigate your journey and deciding how you want to progress. Stepping out of the lines you've established for yourself and deciding that there are other ways to progress on your journey. That's all right. It will require some patience. Or maybe you're like me, and the end is the hardest for you, where you had to decide whether the journey you took was the one you needed for you personally and how you want to live. And facing the possibility that maybe it wasn't the best choice for you, or maybe it was. And acknowledging the results of it for yourself. And finding something beautiful from it. And that's all right too. The end should be forgiving. Our journeys will never be perfect. There will be days where it rains on end, and that's okay. Let those moments soothe your mind. There will be moments where it'll feel dark and gritty, and that's okay too. Let those moments teach you how to treat yourself when you're feeling low. And there will be moments where you need to reflect on both the good days, the rainy, and the dark. Respect yourself in those moments. But no matter what, when it's time for the journey to end, let the journey end. Because it will end. In the end of the journey, no matter how long or difficult or confusing, is allowed to end beautifully. But maybe that's just me. What's going on, everybody? It's Nuanced. First, I want to apologize if I sound a little bit raspy or hoarse. I actually was sick for damn near 2 months straight, like everybody else. Whatever was going around got to me really bad. But I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you so much for your time and watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. As you saw in the beginning, I actually decided to make this one for my mom, who recently graduated from college after a whole lot of homework. Trying again. Graduated recently from college after a whole lot of hard work, English, and I'm just very proud of her. So, Mom, if you're watching this, if you get to watch this, because I know you're really busy, I'm proud of you. did awesome. And you should be proud. To everybody else in the community, thank you again so much for spending a little bit of your time with me. I hope this helped you slow down your day a little bit and gave you some good reflections for yourself. If you would like to share what you feel might be keeping you from starting your own journeys, or how you started them and where it brought you, or even how your most recent one ended, big or small, it doesn't matter, leave a comment down below. I would love to hear your stories, read them, and maybe something you say can inspire somebody else to start their own journeys. If you would like to help me share this video with more of the YouTube community, please just leave a like on the video. It does help more than you know, or you probably know by now. You're watching a YouTube video, you've heard this a million times. And if you would like to stay up to date on when the next video is coming out, or what it might be on the channel, simply hitting subscribe. Again, it does more than you know. My brain's a little scattered right now. I am still not feeling 100%, so that might seem like a whole lot of blather. But thank you for listening. But whichever one you do, like or subscribe or not, just if you got to this point in the video, I appreciate you all the same. That's all I got for now. So, in the meantime, feed your mind, fill your heart, and nurture your soul. And I'll see you next time. You take care of you.